Dark Discoveries is a podcast that dives deep into the darkest corners of history, mystery, and the downright bizarre. We discuss real events that may include graphic detail, adult themes, strong language, not suitable for all ages. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
We're here to inform, entertain, and maybe make you laugh nervously in public, but never to glorify criminals or make light of victims. Our research is thorough, but hey, we're not perfect.
We don't claim to be historians, so if we get something slightly off, blame Dustin. All opinions are our own, and sometimes even those are questionable.
Welcome back to Dark Discoveries. I'm your host, Dustin, and I am with
Jimbo.
Jackae.
So a couple weeks ago, a month, whatever it's been, we talked about the maple syrup heist of 2011 and 2012.
That was a sticky situation.
I've got something kind of similar, maybe a little bit better. So tonight we're going to talk about... I had to do the pause.
I'm deleting that.
The great Jack Daniels theft of 1923.
Ooh, that's a good year. Actually,
Was that Prohibition years?
Yes.
Okay.
So I got a guy at work. I'm like, hey, man, give me a topic. Give me something good. So this is one of those topics. There's a few more we're going to cover later, but he's a little bit behind on giving me good topics. So I'm going to go beat him up tomorrow.
Don't beat him up.
Get a story out of him.
You need more.
If you beat him up, he ain't going to give you any more stories.
He's always good at giving me these
Bribe him.
All these oddball stories, and they're
well.
Always
Then me and
fantastic.
Jackie will have a coverage of how we lost a podcast partner as a story next time.
Well, we're not going to beat him up really.
All right, if you're going to do it, make it
verbally. Beat him
Verbal
up.
assault.
So, to truly grasp the audacity of this crime, we first must understand the context.
Did you say grass?
Grasp with a P.
grass fed.
In 1923, Prohibition is in full swing.
Full of swing.
I think the swing was lost when Prohibition,
Yeah.
kind of came out. So, right from the Roaring 20s with alcohol flowing to
The Great Depression.
the 20s with no alcohol flowing.
Party ended. Mm-hmm.
So by 1923, Prohibition's in full swing, but people were still going to find a way to get a drink back then. While the Volstead Act banned alcohol, it ironically created a booming black market. The Jack Daniels distillery in Lynchburg, Tennessee had legally been silent since 1910, well before national prohibition. But the key to this conspiracy, the true treasure, wasn't newly distilled whiskey. It was the vast aged pre-prohibition stock legitimately produced before the ban. Held in federally bonded warehouses. So Jackie, she's in this business as well. So can you tell the audience what exactly a bonded warehouse is? I think I have it in my notes, but let's get it from the resident expert.
It comes down to the taxation. If it is in bond, you have paid the taxes and it's good to go. If it's out of bond, the person buying it must pay the taxes before it's allowed to leave. So being in bond and out of bond are two very different things. They're different categories in tax-related purposes. We are extremely federally regulated here. And it's one of those things that, if you're going to purchase it, the government's going to get their cut before you get yours.
So do you have both of them here, bonded and non-bonded?
Yes. So what we make is not bonded because people need to buy it from us so that we can pay the taxes and go from there. Mm-hmm. And then anytime that we've ever had to purchase something in, then we pay the taxes for it to go out. So we have two different products, and they have to actually even go into different cages. They cannot be kept together because if anybody from the government comes in to regulate or monitor, they need to be able to see that our paperwork matches what we have in stock and where.
And if it's a bottled in bond, it has to be its own warehouse.
Absolutely.
But the nice thing
not
is
so much its own warehouse; it's its own cages.
Okay.
They have to be separated.
so it's a
from
warehouse
the other.
within the warehouse.
Absolutely, yes. They have to have their own section they cannot cross.
I know when it comes to a bottled in bond product, it is a higher standard.
Yes.
You can't cut corners. It has to have specific age statements, 100
Yes.
proof. There's a lot
That
of
goes
stuff that
with any type of product that we have due to regulations on the content of what is in it has to be disclosed, especially if it's under a certain percentage. If it's under 0.5% of the actual product that it's made, it does not have to be disclosed. Anything else has to be on the label, has to have the alcohol proof, has to have the alcohol by volume, all kinds of things. So there's federally regulated labels for all alcohol.
it's crazy. Now you see why I picked this topic, 'cause Jackie can give
Yes.
me a break from time to time.
So she can do all your coverage for you.
I got you, buddy.
So these were secure government supervised facilities where the distillery's precious aged whiskey would sit legally while awaiting the day prohibition might end or when it was being withdrawn for medical purposes, which was the loophole back then. And in St. Louis, Missouri, one such warehouse held the crown jewels, 896 barrels of genuine aged Jack Daniel's whiskey.
Do you know the age of it at that time?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm guessing if they stopped distilling in 1910, and that's been sitting in a barrel.
You're looking at 12 to 13 years at
Yeah.
least.
And I don't know if that's the 40 gallons, if that's after what evaporated, or if that's where they just filled them at the time.
Depends
with
on the size
foil
of the
barrels.
barrel. Because when we fill a 53 gallon, I typically put in 50 to 51 gallons to give it just enough air.
And if you're going to hold that for 13 years,
A
you're
lot
going
of evaporation.
You're going to have a lot go away. So each barrel holds 40 gallons. Folks, let's do the math. And if you know my math from listening to this podcast, I sometimes get excited and spit out the wrong answer if it's off the cuff. So that's roughly 35,800 gallons of old Jack Daniel's number 7.
You could fill a swimming pool.
A couple times, probably. At the black market prices, this was a fortune, a liquid gold mine just waiting for the right criminal mind to exploit it. At the very pinnacle of this complex web of illicit activity was George Remus. If you know anything about bourbon, you've got Remus Repeal, George Remus. There's some labels. I think it's an MGP product, though. I don't think it's really... I think of who actually is behind it, though.
I'll be honest, a lot of bourbon out there is MGP. I mean, probably...
Nothing wrong with it. but
nothing wrong with it. Absolutely. I'm going to say at least half the bourbon out there is probably MGP or...
If I wanted to start my own label, I could go buy a however many barrels I want from MGP in Southern Indiana and take it, bottle it, brand it, make my own bourbon.
Well, so MGP is a company that makes and ages bourbon, and a lot of distilleries, when they start up, will purchase MGP bourbon, and that way they don't have to wait the 4, 5, 10 years for the product to age out. They can go ahead and blend, do the finishing barrels however they want, and put their product out right then and there.
And they can say, hey, contract distill this form. Usually in the beginning, it's going to be pre-existing stuff. They're going to pick it. But you can also have them contract distilled. Hey, this is my mash bill. This is what I want. And they will produce it for you, which I know.
And they will store it for you as well.
I know that market is changing a little bit because of the bourbon boom, I think, is finally starting to come down.
It's a little bit harder to get into MGP now, but a lot of people, distilleries-wise, that have purchased from them before still have a lot of access.
So that's why when you see, which I know you're not a drinker, but you'll see one of the first products that, Boone County Jail Distillery put out, Yellowstone, all the major brands, when they start out new, that's why they kind of started with the moonshine. That moonshine craze from TV took off, but it gives them some money they can make right away while they're building rick houses, while they're aging, so they can get their feet off the ground and make their own product.
Most bourbon has to age a minimum 4 to 5 years before it's bottled. Some people prefer it longer, but the standard is a minimum of 4 years.
Sorry, this is a topic I like.
I was just going to say, who's down with MGP? Yeah, you know me. So
I misunderstood.
I was like, hey, what? And you're like going into this whole thing. I was like, I really don't know what that means, but I'll take it.
That's okay. We just wanted to explain because, I like talking about it.
So like the MGP stuff, that's stuff
Midwest grain products represent.
That means that stuff that has been aged by other companies that sell them to somebody else that wants to get their stuff out quicker.
Correct.
So it's probably a really lucrative business.
It's fantastic. And the bourbon is wonderful. It's solid. And you can buy MGP and you can take them, blend them, finish them however you want in different barrels, different things, and make it your own. But it is a really, really wonderful way for companies to either mass produce if they can't keep up with demand, or they get their hands on aged liquor to go ahead and make that profit right away.
And they can blend their own product with it too.
Absolutely, yes.
They can take what they have to make it go farther.
Now, it does have to be disclosed on the label at some point, but that goes back into all the federal regulations on labeling for.
So the people listening, if it's produced by or if it's bottled by, I always look for distilled and bottled by wherever at, because it tells you that company is making their product versus it's coming from MGP in Southern Indiana. I know there's a couple in Kentucky because you can get it through just about anybody. I know I'm spacing the name right now, but there's a big one that's I think Heaven Hill does it.
I couldn't tell you if it was Heaven Hill.
There's one of them that's one of the brands that they contract distill.
Yeah.
Old Barton, I think, is a big one.
Okay.
All like Total Wine, I think their stuff's Barton.
Total Wine, Myers, and then there's three wineries.
Nothing wrong with it, but I prefer like when I'm traveling the country, I want to visit places that are doing things the hard way. If you go to a tourist town, you want to support those local businesses that have to survive year round. So if I'm going to buy a product, sometimes I'm cheap and I'll take an MGP. Penelope's a great MGP product, but it's an MGP product and nothing wrong with what they're doing. I would just rather go someplace that they're taking all the risk. They're aging it. They're bottling it. They're putting their hands on it every single day to put it out there. That is one thing
too, is you can buy completely made bourbon from MGP and then bring it into your rack house and age it, and that way too. And that's the beautiful thing about bourbon is it's very different. Here in Indiana, we get several honey barrels, which is essentially looks like the barrels have been covered in tree sap. It's due to the humidity and the pressure here in Indiana that we have. Typically 1 in 5 of our barrels is going to be sweeter than average and will produce this honey barrel. Whereas if you were in somewhere like Texas, where the humidity is much lower and it's a very dry atmosphere, it's going to be 1 in 15.
A little hotter whiskey.
Big difference. Yeah. It all comes down to where you are and how it's aged.
Yeah. Like I said, hopefully we're not losing the people because it's fascinating. So, but George Remus, self-proclaimed king of the bootleggers, wasn't just a common thug. He was a trained pharmacist. We know a little about pharmacists that decide to operate on the dark side of the law. You're looking at me confused, Jimbo.
I'm just getting over the bootlicker.
The bootleggers. Bootlegger. Hey, man. Trying to throw an H.H. Holmes plug in here, and you didn't even catch it. But he was also a criminal defense attorney. So he wasn't really relying on brute force. He exploited the very letter of the law. He devoured the Volstead Act, dissecting its ambiguities. His genius lay in realizing that the alcohol, while illegal for beverage purposes, could still be legally manufactured and distributed for medicinal purposes.
And that's so funny because to this day, you cannot put anything medicinal on a label. We actually had a client that kept trying to sneak in a few words where it was medicinal, elixir, things like that. And the TTB kept flagging his labels and kicking them back and saying, you can't say anything. This is snake oil if you do that.
I thought, though, there was one that was like Cocock or something was an herbal whiskey.
It could be, but if that's the case, then it's a botanical, which is different.
That may be where they got around it.
But yeah, it's if you put in certain words, the TTB will flag it, and you will get your label rejected, and you have to revamp it.
I'm sure that involves paying more money.
Always. Okay.
So Remus would build an empire, acquiring distilleries or buying up their legal existing stock for medicinal whiskey. His grand scheme involved creating what appeared to be legitimate transactions. He then would arrange for his own bonded warehouses to be stolen from. These heists would meticulously orchestrated, often with the full complicity of corrupt warehouse managers. Federal agents were involved. Agents who were supposed to be enforcing the law would kind of partake in not doing what they were doing. Yeah. Prohibition. Who would have thought bribery was a thing? He amassed an astonishing fortune.
Throwing that thing.
It's getting a little late. Fortune estimated to be worth around $40 million in 1925. I know Jimbo's dying to know what the inflation is. That would be $787 million in today's money.
Somebody needs to check his math.
Pocket change.
Dude, you got to remember, you're getting ready to go in the Great Depression. I mean, it's the roaring 20s are starting to slow down.
They're not roaring no more.
He was just a criminal. He was more than just a criminal. He was a visionary. He had this huge illicit empire. Like, who would have thought, let's just take this illegal liquor that gets you drunk and call it cough medicine that'll get you drunk. And you just rob your own warehouses. In Jack Daniels' case, Remus's network would often use shell corporations and dummy buyers to legally purchase the permits and control over the 896 barrels in St. Louis. The initial transaction for the whiskey was about $125,000, or roughly $2.3 million in today's money. Somehow that math don't match.
I told you somebody check his math.
That may have been billion, and I typed million. But you got to remember, the dollar it did go a lot farther in 1925 than it does today. I heard a joke. This guy's like, remember you go to the store and you could take $1 and you could leave with 2 bags of chips and a drink and like 4 candy bars? Yeah, I hate cameras. Huh? Sorry. So this meant the whiskey would remain, he bought it, had it. It would remain bonded in a government-controlled warehouse, would have the government seals. This would create the perfect cover for a sophisticated internal theft. Remus didn't work alone. His success depended on a vast, intricate network of corrupt officials and eager criminals. The Jack Daniels conspiracy highlighted just how deep this operation went. Nathan Goldstein was a key figure, not just a court clerk, but a politically influential Republican in St. Louis. His position allowed him to pull strings, secure information, and ensure political protection over these illicit operations. His influence was critical for navigating the bureaucratic labyrinth designed to prevent such schemes from happening. Arnold, I'm going to call him Helmich. This was where things started to get a little bit interesting with him. He was the U.S. collector of internal revenue for St. Louis. His literal job was to oversee bonded warehouses and ensure compliance with all federal alcohol laws. Instead, he was the ultimate insider. His complicity guaranteed.
Well, just for the record, an 8.7 magnitude earthquake just happened over by Hawaii, and they're expecting tsunamis.
And they're saying a earthquake in Russia has been upgraded to an 8.8 on the Richter scale. It's tied to being the 6th strongest earthquake in history.
Right. So
there's some stuff happening right now while we're recording.
Thank you for interrupting my podcast for that.
Sorry.
Sorry, breaking news.
This is going to be a little bit later after all this happens. So let's just pray for the people in Russia and the people in Hawaii and the people that are going to be affected by
Tsunamis get really
and
bad.
earthquakes and everything that's going on there, because that's not
It's terrifying.
not a good thing that's going on, but it is unfortunately part of how the earth operates. So where I was at,
He doesn't remember.
so before that phone went crazy, this guy's job was to oversee the bonded warehouses to make sure they followed all the laws. Instead, he was the ultimate insider and would basically just turn a blind eye. He was essential for signing off on the fraudulent paperwork, redirecting genuine inspectors, and generally ensuring the smooth, unnoticed flow of illegal whiskey. This wasn't a minor bribe. This was systematic corruption at the very highest level in federal law. So I'm sure I'm going to cover this in a minute. So this guy's job in the warehouse was when federal inspectors would come in, he would guide them to barrels that had not been messed with. So you're asking, how does this go? Which we're going to probably cover it again, but you siphon out the bourbon, you put water back in, and you move on to the next one. But you can temper bourbon, which they're going to check for proof and everything, but it would buy you time. So instead of, getting a little bit, they were going for everything.
I will say this, density of bourbon versus water is extremely different as well.
Yeah, it's definitely more viscous. So enter Lim Motlow, Jack Daniels' nephew. It's Motlow. So we're going to call it Motlow.
Sounds good to me.
I like their songs. Motlow Crew.
So, like I said, this was Jack Daniels' nephew and the legitimate owner of the distillery. He was directly implicated and indicted in this massive conspiracy. The government's accusation was staggering that Motlow, the guardian of the Jack Daniels legacy, was involved in a scheme to illegally divert his own whiskey. While this ultimate fate in this specific trial was somewhat overshadowed by Remus's dramatic life, his inclusion highlights the desperation and often morally ambiguous choices legitimate business owners faced during Prohibition to keep their brands from disappearing entirely. It speaks to the immense pressure and blurred lines of this era. So a lot of these places, you have to shut up. A lot of these companies weren't able to transition into other things. It's not the id that we got through to where distilleries could go into making hand sanitizer and things like that. I mean, I know some of it, they completely shifted what they were making. And a lot of them didn't come back to going to, making whiskey again. So enter John Marcus, a former partner of Remus. Marcus was reportedly the one who brought this specific opportunity to Remus's attention, connecting him with the politically powerful individuals in St. Louis who were already eyeing the Jack Daniel's stock. And beyond, these key players were the crucial foot soldiers, the complicit warehouse employees and the truck drivers, the rum runners, and the low-level distributors who made up the extensive logistical network. I mean, this isn't just a few people. There's a lot of people involved in this. Remus's original plan was to extract the Jack Daniels, was a testament to his criminal genius. His instructions were specific: drain precisely 6 gallons from each of the 896 barrels. This would yield roughly under 5,400 gallons of pure Jack Daniels, an astonishing amount for an immediate profit. The drain volume was then meticulously replaced with a mixture of water and plain denatured alcohol, carefully adjusted to match the original proof. The brilliance was in its, I'm going to say kind of its simpleness. It's not a hard concept. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure it is. I mean, there is science to get it to the right proof, but they're like, hey, how are we going to do this?
Instead of taking the whole barrel, they're only going to take 6 gallons.
So you're still leaving 34-ish gallons or 30 gallons, whatever, gets lost to the angels, but you're putting alcohol, denatured, cheap alcohol back into it, which I don't know how that would affect the viscosity of it and the weight and everything. But if somebody was to taste it, they'd be like, man, that's alcohol, but this isn't good.
It would taste like it had not aged properly.
It would be like probably taking a bottle of Wild Turkey 101, where it's full flavored, and then drinking a bottle of Wild Turkey 81.
Well,
You took that proof down. It's a toned down version, but when you're putting a kind of a harsh denatured alcohol in it, it's going to severely change it.
It's going to start the entire aging process over again. But unfortunately, it will also kind of take away from what you've already got in there, because you're bringing in harsh new flavors. It'll create something, but it's going to take more time.
And it's probably not the same mash bill.
No,
I mean,
let's face it. If they're grabbing whatever they can get,
or you're making just some moonshine and you're throwing it in there, and
it's one thing to blend alcohol. It's a whole nother to take
you're
amateur alcohol and put it in with aged. Yeah.
So the brilliance, like I said, was just simple. But let's be honest, people get greedy. I mean, so obviously we know they didn't take just 6 gallons. To ensure success, Remus's conspirators had bribed the warehouse employees. Their role was critical. So when the government gauger, the official person who tests the content and the volume of the barrel, would arrive, the employees would steer them into specific pre-selected barrels, usually undiluted barrels strategically placed near the front of the warehouse for them to sample. The theory was the gauger would taste the genuine product, be satisfied, and leave the thousands of other barrels uninspected. The plan was to repeat the slow siphon, periodically bleeding the inventory gradually without ever knowing this happened. But then, like we said, greed, the great undoer of criminal masterminds, intervened. In August 1923, Remus's impatient co-conspirators, craving immediate and massive returns, ignored his carefully laid instructions. Instead, they ordered their contact in St. Louis's warehouse to commit a far more egregious act: drain all of the whiskey from the barrels. So we're talking nearly 30,000 gallons of pure Jack Daniels.
So they could have stopped this at any point, probably got away with it.
Yeah, I think the 6 gallons, no more than it was. And you got to remember there's 30,000, or however many, 896 barrels you can take and make a really good thing, chunk of change, because that's probably sitting at, what proof would you say, Jackie?
I mean, we typically fill our barrels at 120 proof to start. So you want to think that about every year, you're going to drop anywhere from a 0.5% to a 1%. So by the time that they've aged it that long, you're probably looking at, I'd say, 112 to 113 proof.
So if you take 6 gallons at 112 proof and you're going to dilute that down to, let's say, a drinkable 80 proof, you're going to add a significant amount of water to that, and that's going to be more than 6 gallons, or
for sure,
6 gallons at a time that you were supposed to take from each barrel. You're going to stretch that out and make even more money, because let's be honest, you're probably not, you could be selling it just straight for somebody else to do. You're just going for the quick money. Somebody else can make a little bit more on the back end. But like I said, there's potential for a lot of illegal liquor to be out on the streets. So each and every one of those 896 barrels, like we said, were completely drained, refilled with watered down, denatured alcohol. While they still attempted to proof the barrels, the complete emptying meant the genuine taste would immediately expose the deception. The stolen whiskey was then rapidly distributed all over their vast network across the Midwest. So high-paying customers at speakeasies, they were able to get a drink. To elaborate, the scheme began to unravel almost immediately. The first thread came loose in December 1923 when Marion County Sheriff George Snyder in Indiana spotted a suspicious armored truck. He gave chase down the National Road just west of Indianapolis, pursuing them at a blistering 40
miles an hour.
miles an hour. When it was finally stopped, he discovered 4 barrels of genuine Jack Daniels whiskey worth about $16,000 then, or around $300,000 today. The initial seizure, although not the full scope, was a massive red flag. But the definitive unmasking of the entire conspiracy came down to a simple, unsuspecting sip. When federal gauger named Charles Barlow arrived in St. Louis at the warehouse for a routine inspection, he had a stroke of bad luck on the conspirator side. None of them bribed employees who were present to perform their usual misdirection. So guy shows up, you don't have somebody that you're paying in place. So
No, take me to the back.
what do? They don't lead them to a full barrel. They just let them open up whatever. Mm-hmm. When Barlow requested a sample, the watchman, completely oblivious to the massive fraud, withdrew one from the recently emptied barrel. So it's been refilled with
It's going to taste a little weird.
cheap liquor. One taste was all it took. An experienced and honest gauger immediately knew this wasn't Jack Daniels. This was distilled swill. He quickly discovered the horrifying truth. Every one of the 896 barrels meant to contain pure Jack Daniels now held nothing but water and denatured alcohol.
Jeez.
The elaborate multi-million-dollar scheme had been undone by a single honest sip. The government launched an immediate sprawling investigation. This was just about a few barrels. This was about a massive criminal enterprise that had just compromised federal officials, and it involved one of the most famous whiskey brands in America. The prosecution, led by federal attorneys, aimed for the very top, meticulously in their pursuit of the financiers and politically influenced figures behind this operation. 35 individuals from the highest echelons and the lowest rum runners were indicted.
How long did they get?
Well, we're still getting there.
Oh, okay.
Another fly met its mask.
It wasn't. She
tried to bait the fly.
She tried to bait the fly and dumped a drop of Monster Energy drink while the fly swatted. You didn't see her jump? She jumped and scared me.
I seen her jump. I thought she was just going to fly.
It looked like a fire going off of it.
So
We need to make a T-shirt with a tennis racket with Jackie with flies all dead on the ground.
Dustin gets dragons. I go after flies.
So we know that a wasp will catch on fire on an electric fly
It's a
swatter.
little monster.
It sounds like if you need a fire starter, just pour a little Monster on it and it'll take off.
I got distracted.
I was doing so good.
I know.
So
You're doing
good.
great. Go back at it, buddy. I'm not here.
The trial, sensationally dubbed the Jack Daniels whiskey case, captivated the nation, with front page headlines dominating newspapers from St. Louis to Cincinnati and Indianapolis, and even reaching papers in New York and California. So California to New York, that's pretty big, probably back in 1923.
Yeah. Coast to coast.
It began in the federal courthouse in Indianapolis in 1924. Shout out Indiana. A monumental effort to dismantle one of the largest bootlegging operations in the Midwest. George Remus, king of the bootleggers, was perceivably found guilty. He was one of 24 men convicted in the trial. He would serve time in Atlanta's federal penitentiary. However, as we touched on before, Remus's life continued its downward spiral of drama and violence. Upon his release in 1927, he discovered his wife had looted his estate and was having an affair with a federal prohibition agent, Franklin L. Dodge Jr. In a horrifying public spectacle in Cincinnati, Remus shot and killed her.
Oh, no.
Then, in a truly bizarre twist, he famously represented himself at his murder trial, successfully arguing temporary insanity and was acquitted.
He did good. Okay.
He eventually spent time in an asylum, dying in 1952.
Wow.
While his life remains one of the most compelling and disturbing true crime sagas of the Prohibition era, I think we're going to have to dive into him in our Gangsters and Gunmen that will eventually make a debut.
They're waiting for me to step out for a minute.
We're waiting on
It's
a
coming,
play.
boys. I got a play
Yeah,
coming
we're
up.
waiting on theater.
But, man, you're putting this piece of crap on a label of your product.
Yeah.
Like, just a bootlegger's fine. Junior Johnson, had his own label before he died, and he was a bootlegger, NASCAR driver, but he wasn't killing nobody.
Junior Johnson died? When did he die?
It's been a couple years.
My bad. I liked them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's one of those, you want to represent your brand in a good way. I get he was the king of the bootleggers, but at some point you got to say, man, this dude was morally wrong.
R.I.P. King of the Bootlickers.
Bootlickers. So Lim Motlow, Jack Daniels' nephew, the legitimate proprietor, faced immense pressure and severe charges. While the specifics of his individual verdict in this particular trial are sometimes less prominent in the broader narrative of Remus, it is clear his reputation and Jack Daniels' brand were severely tarnished by association. Lim's unwavering dedication to Jack Daniels, however, would ultimately be his legacy. After national prohibition was repealed in 1933, Lim, by then a Tennessee state senator, fought tirelessly to repeal Tennessee's equally stubborn state prohibition laws. Just because prohibition ended, there's still counties today across the country that are dry. It's funny. My great grandma died in Kentucky. You could buy, and it was pretty close to like border counties. You could buy alcohol in the county next to it, but you could not buy it in that county.
It's still like that.
Yeah,
and it's
several.
there's still several places that just go online and Google. It'll surprise
We have
you.
dry counties here in Indiana.
It'll surprise you where you see dry counties across the country. You would think that it would be okay this point in time, but for those of you who do not live in Indiana, we're only like 5 or 10 years into getting to get alcohol on Sunday. You had to go to Ohio or Illinois to get liquor on Sunday. It's still pretty backwards. Finally, he succeeded in 1938, and the Jack Daniels distillery was legally opened again in Lynchburg, Tennessee. So they were back up into production. He truly did save the brand from extinction, guiding it through the Depression, World War II, and ensuring the survival until his death in 1947. We got something else, or it's just, or it's the ghost of the distillery in jail over here just playing with it.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
I
boys.
cannot trust you and Dustin with the
Don't push
microphone, a fly thing.
Don't
anything.
push the button. If you push the button, it'll go off. Huh?
I'm setting it down. I don't know what happened. I think I got a fly leg stuck in the way. I think it's stuck in
Poor
there.
fly. Nathan Goldstein and Arnold Helmich, Hellmich, both the corrupt county clerk and the U.S. collector of the IRS, Internal Revenue, were among those indicted and convicted. Their convictions set a powerful, albeit often short-lived message that even high-level corruption could face the consequences during Prohibition. Doesn't matter who you are, they were going to put you in jail.
Yep.
The missing whiskey, 30,000 of the genuine Jack Daniels whiskey disappeared into the illicit markets. It fueled countless speakeasies, illegal operations, and undoubtedly a prized possession for its authenticity and quality in an era where unadulterated and dangerous bootlegging liquor was out. I mean,
They were drinking 12, 13-year-old bourbon on, in their little old fashions, It's like they have no idea the good bourbon. Like we're just like downing.
because mixed drinks came from Prohibition to
Yeah.
where you were making basically moonshine and trying to make it palatable.
Yeah.
But yet, that there was this small class of elite people who were getting good whiskey. And they probably were, they knew what they were getting. They were paying for it. So they were able to enjoy it, and they were laughing while everybody else is trying to, just get the swill that they can get. But you have to remember, too, during Prohibition, Canadian Club and all that stuff would come over once the Lake Michigan would freeze. They would drive it over from Canada across the trucks. And that was another interesting times where trucks would get hijacked, people killed. When the snow melts, you know what happens? You fall to the bottom of Lake Michigan. And that's a crazy place to begin with, because you can't just go search Lake Michigan, because it's so deep and vast, and the weather turns on a dime on you. So you're not going to be able, once you're down there, they're probably not going to ever find you. So it's hard to tell how much stuff's at the bottom of Lake Michigan. But like I said, the profits back then, it was staggering. It's why people did it. That's a lot of power and organized crime, and that's why they did it. We're talking millions, if not billions of dollars just on this. So if that's 853 barrels, imagine how much, you're not going to get top dollar for moonshine, but Al Capone, all these big gangsters had their operations. It was a license to print money. In 1923, the Jack Daniels conspiracy wasn't just a moment in time. It was a microcosm of Prohibition itself. A period rifle with hypocrisy, vast criminal enterprises, persuasive corruption, and the sheer human will to acquire and consume alcohol, legal or otherwise. It shows us that the pursuit of dark discoveries often leads into not just a single event, but also an entire intricate tapestry of human greed, integrity, and defiance. So, like I said, next time you have that drink, just kind of think about the history and what it takes for all that to come into fruition in that glass, and the struggles and the fights that it took to get that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how long we're doing. Are we... Man, I got 41 minutes out of that. Do we want to?
Half of that was Jackie swiping at flies.
Do we want to keep going with the second one, or is this going to be a solo one?
Oh, no. People need more than just your mouth on
Are you sure they want more than me?
Right, because we purposefully took smaller episodes for this because you had such
I'm
a big
just
one.
happy that I could make that much notes go 41 minutes. I'm hitting my stride over here.
Well, since you had an uplifting episode, I'm going to bring it down a little bit.
Why would you want to do that?
Because somebody's got to be the voice of reason. We're going to talk about something I never knew existed until I was heading to work. I got there a little early, and I went into Half Price Books, and I found this little quick, easy read on this subject. So we're going to talk about the Chowchilla kidnappings. So not the chinchilla kidnappings.
Not the chinchilla? I thought there was chinchilla
the
kidnappings.
Chowchilla kidnappings. So we're all parents here. Mm-hmm. So on a sweltering July day in 1976, 26 children boarded a yellow bus, school bus, in the small farming town of Chowchilla, California. Most were grade schoolers who were laughing, joking, and wiping sweat off their brows after a day of summer fun at a local swimming pool. Their driver, 55-year-old Frank Edward Ray, or Ed as the kids all knew him by, was just minutes from finishing his afternoon route when the bus slowed down on a country road flanked by endless fields and almond groves. But before they could make it home, that school bus disappeared. By nightfall, panic had consumed the town. Parents waited on porches, phones rang off the hook, and local police were baffled. No skid marks, no witnesses, no ransom. Just a yellow school bus and 27 people vanished. This is the chilling story of one of the largest mass kidnappings in U.S. history. This is the Chowchilla kidnappings. It began like any other day in Chowchilla, a modest rural community in California's Central Valley. The town was tight-knit, surrounded by farmland, and proud of its peaceful way of life. Kind of like Lebanon. It's kind of peaceful out this way, right? Ed Ray was known as a responsible and gentle bus driver, but on July 15th, 1976, he picked up the children from the local Dairyland Elementary School summer program. The bus filled with the sounds of splashing memories, sunburned cheeks, and dripping bathing suits.
The bus or the bus?
I was waiting for you to say that.
Let's see. And we say calm in nice Lebanon because we've not heard the idiot on the motorcycle come flying by tonight.
But
The night is still young.
at approximately 4:10 p.m., as the bus drove down Avenue 21, a white van suddenly blocked the road.
Oh, no.
Armed men wearing nylon stockings over their faces forced Ed Ray to stop. The children were terrified. The men brandished guns and boarded the bus. With eerie calm, they took control. No shouting, no violence, just quiet, sinister efficiency.
Ugh.
They moved Ed and the children from the bus into 2 waiting vans. So Ed went with some of the children, so that means all these other children are in
With
another van by
strangers.
themselves.
Oh, my gosh.
I
The
wouldn't have stopped.
windows
Yeah.
were blacked out.
Oh, that's
The captives
terrifying.
could not see outside. Then they began to drive for hours.
Oh, gosh.
By sunset,
Parents are losing their
the
minds.
bus was found abandoned in a dried out riverbed, hidden under branches, but there was no sign of Ed or the kids. Panic turned to national attention. The FBI was called in, search teams fanned out, but with no ransom note and no contact from the kidnappers, authorities feared the worst. After nearly 12 hours of driving, the vans came to a stop. It was now the early hours of July 16th. The captors forced the children and Ed down into what looked like a hole in the ground. It was dark. It was claustrophobic. The air was hot and still.
Ugh.
It wasn't a hole. It was a moving van. You ever seen those big box moving vans?
Yeah.
So there was a hole in the top and they lowered them into it.
Oh.
And it was buried underground. So it was a buried moving van, which covered in earth and concealed deep in a quarry in Livermore over 100 miles away from Chowchilla. Inside, the kidnappers had rigged the truck with ventilation pipes and mattresses, but it was a crude setup. Food and water were sparse. The captors told them to descend a wooden ladder and then sealed the entrance with heavy metal and debris.
Jeez.
Then they left. For 16 grueling hours, 27 people, 26 were children, and plus Ed Ray, sat buried alive. They had no idea where they were, no way to communicate with the outside world. The children cried, some vomited from fear, and others collapsed in exhaustion. But one thing remained constant. Ed Ray never gave up. Ed Ray, along with several of the older boys, including 14-year-old Michael Marshall, took stock of the situation. The roof creaked, dirt crumbled through the cracks, the air was suffocating. They knew that if they waited too long, they might not survive. Using wooden slats from the mattresses, they pried open a metal plate the kidnappers had used to cover the hatch. For hours, they worked together, pushing, lifting, digging, until finally, after clawing through nearly 6 feet of dirt, they saw daylight. One by one, Ed and the children emerged from the earth covered in grime, but they were alive. They found a nearby guard shack in the quarry. Authorities were contacted. It was July 16th around 8 p.m., nearly 28 hours after they were kidnapped. The nation rejoiced. All 27 had survived, but that was only half the mystery. Who were the monsters behind this nightmare and why? 3 days later, the FBI got its break. A lead pointed investigators towards Frederick Newhall Woods IV, the privileged son of a wealthy San Francisco family. Woods, along with his 2 brothers, Richard and James Schoenfeld, had hatched a scheme inspired by the 1971 Clint Eastwood film Dirty Harry, in which a school bus kidnapping is used to demand ransom. They planned it out for over a year. They bought vans, rented a quarry owned by Woods' father, dug and reinforced a burial site. Their goal? $5 million in ransom. The plan failed when they couldn't get through to police to make the demand.
Are you serious?
Their phone lines were jammed due to all the media coverage. By the time they regrouped, Ed Ray and the children had already escaped.
Oh, my gosh.
All 3 men were arrested within days. The nation, already stunned by the kidnapping, now looked on in horror and disbelief at the fact that the perpetrators came not from the shadows, but from a privileged family. The kidnappers were convicted and sentenced to life in prison without parole, but over the years, that would change. James Schoenfeld was paroled in 2015. Richard followed in 2012. Frederick Woods, the mastermind, was paroled in 2022 after serving more than 40 years in prison.
Wow.
The victims, meanwhile, lived with the trauma after the headlines had faded. Many suffer from anxiety, nightmares, PTSD. Some never spoke about it publicly. Ed Ray was held as a hero, awarded a California Medal of Valor, and loved by all in Chowchilla until his death in 2012. Michael Marshall, the teen who helped dig the group out, became a symbol of resilience. But the question still lingers. How do you recover from being buried alive? The Chowchilla kidnapping remains one of the most chilling crimes in American history, not because of bloodshed, but because of its psychological brutality. It was a crime of calculation, ambition, and utter disregard for human life. But in the face of terror, 26 children and one brave bus driver showed what it means to survive. In the dark, underground, miles from home, they found strength in one another, and then they dug themselves free.
Wow.
And that is the Chowchilla kidnappings.
That is awesome that it ended that well.
Right. It could have went so wrong the other way.
Because you can either stay cool and calm in,
But how would you feel if one of your kids was on that bus?
Oh my gosh.
Those 28 hours or whatever.
And just the fact that it was how many hours in the car that they were.
It's probably
12
about,
hours, I think they said.
Yeah.
Well, they went 100 miles.
But they probably went around several, tried to disorient Ed because he probably knew where they were going. Okay, we went on because he was a bus
He's a
driver.
bus driver, yeah.
So he probably knew the routes.
100 miles is 2 hours ish.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so he was driving them everywhere trying to figure it out. Yeah.
like I said,
But how many people stopped and seen them getting gas and everything, and they just never paid any attention because the windows are blacked out.
Yeah. Wow.
just like I said, people staying calm under immense
But I mean,
pressure.
those poor kids that are vomiting, they're scared. I'm sure the bathroom situation wasn't the best either. So you've got all that to deal with. And one of those movie vans, there's pictures on the internet you can see of this. It's not a very big van either. I mean, but to put 27 kids in there, it's still a little cramped.
Yeah.
And 27 kids to one adult. I mean, that adult had to be losing his mind because not only are you scared for yourself, but I mean, you have every person's child. And that weight had to be just immense on him.
Right. And I always wondered if they had got through to make a ransom for $5 million, would they have let the children go? Because they took precautions. They did put a ventilation system in there. They put a couple mattresses, a little bit of food, not a lot. But do you think they would have let them go if they would have got the ransom? Or do you think it would have been like, okay, coppers, here they are. You go find them. If they're alive, they're alive. Not, oh, well,
I think that they'd have probably led them to that because obviously if you go there, you're going to expose yourself. So.
Right. Well, and here's the thing, too. You got to remember, wasn't it on one of the guys' dad's property?
Yeah, the quarry. They were renting it from his dad.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would have to be something, too. You wouldn't want the cops coming there, but you couldn't really hide everything there either because people know who you are and what you've been doing there.
Now, lawfully speaking, does that make their dad an accomplice?
Oh, I don't know.
He'd have to know what's going on.
No, not necessarily, because if we're us three are in a car and you go in and kill somebody and rob a bank and say, okay, drive, or kill somebody and drive away, that makes us an accomplice to murder, even though we had no intention, did not know what you were going to do.
I think it's what
you
you
could
do with it, though.
I was going to say, you could play that a few different ways. I mean, say you're a landlord and you rent it out to somebody who's a serial killer. You don't know. They are a great tenant. They pay their bills. They never complain. You're just taking their money. You have no clue. Are you held responsible when he's arrested and there's bodies in the freezer? I mean, it's kind of one of those things. Yeah.
But it's funny that was just him and his two brothers, too. It was the whole family.
A mastermind criminal family. Hey, speaking of another weird family, I have a very short story here tonight, but
and we're done.
Fascinating. All right, guys. Sorry, guys. Okay. So this is called. Well, I'm not going to tell you what it's called because otherwise it's going to give it away. What am I talking about? All right. So I'm just going to dive into this real quick here. So in 2007, not that terribly long ago, I am thinking Oh my gosh, Jackie, that's almost 20 years ago.
I was going to say.
Wait a minute. Guys, I'm getting old.
You know, we talk about 1990s. I'm like, yeah, that was cool. That was 35
it was like
years
5
ago.
years ago. Okay, so in 2007, which was not, last year, it was like almost
Blink
20
of
years
an
ago. Yeah. Shannon Nope, Shannon. We're going with Shannon.
Shannon.
All right, of North Carolina, went bargain hunting at a storage auction unit.
Storage wars.
Yes, exactly. All right. He brought home an old barbecue smoker, the deal of a lifetime. Or so he thought. Okay.
Really, I thought you'd go after, some paintings or something fancy, but you go to a storage locker auction for a used grill.
Hey, you know what? I mean,
You never know. Some of them
this
grills
was
are
a
nice, man.
smoker grill.
Yeah.
I mean, this was the high stakes 2007. You got to think. I mean, this wasn't like what you can go buy now.
No,
this was like the
A
high end.
smoker back in 07, you had to want to.
Yeah, you had to spend some
smoker, I
money on
think.
You had
it.
to move that thing with a semi truck.
That too. So, yes, Shannon gets it home, pops the lid. The smell hit him first. Then the sight. Inside was a human leg, dried, mummified, curled up like it was sleeping in a bag.
We got a good bargain and dinner out of this.
Can you get the stench out of it? I wonder if he ever used the grill after that.
Man.
Oh, you know he did.
That's seasoned.
Understandably creeped out. So he called the police. The police traced the limb back to John Wood, a man who lost it in a plane crash that killed his father. Wood had kept the leg as a strange tribute.
It was his own leg.
No, it was his father's leg.
Oh, it was his father's. I thought it was the dude's leg. I was like,
And to think he let his storage locker go up and not pay the bill, and he lost the last
Oh, just wait, my
remnant
friend.
of his dad.
Oh, it gets better. So yeah, poor John Wood, a man who lost his leg in the plane crash. Well, he died. His son decided to immortalize the leg, and unfortunately, he left it in the storage locker. Storage locker was foreclosed upon and went up for auction. So Shannon purchased it. After this, Shannon at first did not want to keep this leg. Understandably, most people probably wouldn't want to keep a leg. But when the local news got a hold of it, Shannon came up with an idea. He saw an opportunity. He refused to return the leg. Instead, he went to the press,
He bought it.
charged the people $1.
for an arm and a leg minus the arm.
He charged the people $1 to look at it. He
Hey.
called himself the Footman, with dreams of TV reality.
Isn't that illegal? Because if you have like your foot amputated or a toe amputated or a finger, they have to dispose of it, don't they?
No, you can
there's
take it
certain
home with
places
you.
you can actually take it. Now, a lot of times you have to claim that it is religious, because there are religions that you have to have your body together to, go on to the next life, things like that. So there are certain religions that will allow you to have your limbs given back to you, and you can bury them where you're going to be buried.
Who was the Civil War general that, I'm trying to think of who it was. I should know this off the top of my head. Lost an arm or a leg and they buried it, so he's buried in two different places.
Don't they do that in Fried Green Tomatoes? They have a funeral for the boy's leg that got hit by the
I've
train.
not seen that movie in
Just me. All right.
30 some years, and I wasn't paying attention then because it took me about 35 years for me to understand that fried green tomatoes could actually be good.
Yeah. Oh, they're delicious. I love fried
So
green
shout
tomatoes.
out Centerline Barbecue in Hendersonville, Kentucky, home of Johnny Cash. They have phenomenal barbecue, and coming from me, that has to be good because most barbecue restaurants suck.
Somehow
But
we've brought this even further into fried green tomatoes.
But they have
talking
fantastic.
about barbecue on there too.
They have fantastic fried green tomatoes with, I think, a tzatziki sauce or whatever they do, a gyro.
But down there, it's tomatoes.
Maters.
Fantastic. Just, I'll give them a free plug. This isn't the Lord's chicken. We'll give it to hardworking, honest people.
Well, I must say, Shannon, or AKA the Footman, started a battle. Wood obviously wanted his father's leg back.
Should have paid your bill.
Shannon wanted the spotlight. This unfortunately ended up in court. on Judge Mathis of all places.
Oh, no. You could have said, you had me until this.
I know,
It was
right?
about Judge Judy or Jerry Springer.
At least Mathis, I think, was a little bit more better than Judge Judy.
It should have been on, what's his name?
Who was
you
the
are
old-
not the, Maury Povich is what it should have been.
Who was
on.
the other, like the old white kind of fat judge?
Judge Wapner?
No.
Back in the day on People's Court?
It was People's, but it was like 2000s. Before Judge
You know
Judy took off.
Jerry Springer was also a judge there for a while too.
Was he?
Yes. It's ridiculous.
Judge Koch or something like that? Or I always liked him. He seemed like he was halfway legitimate. Judge Judy just seems like she's got a stick up her ass.
Have you ever seen those videos of that old judge where the people come in and, I mean, this dude's like really old, but they're like, hey, why'd you miss your court date today? Or why were you speeding? He's like, well, you know, I worked 2 jobs. I was going from L train to L train and and he's like, no charge. Get out of here.
Ed Koch. I liked him.
Okay, so I misspoke.
Oh.
It is John Wood's leg.
That's what I thought.
His father died in the crash.
And
but
he kept his father's leg as a souvenir.
No, he kept,
He kept his own leg.
His leg.
Possession's
He lost
9/10
his
of the
own
law,
leg.
though, right?
So he wanted his leg back.
But you didn't pay for
Why would
it.
you put it in a smoke? Oh my God! The story
Well, you
just
said
got
it was
even
in a
weirder
plane
saying that.
crash?
Yes, which John Wood's father died in the plane crash. John Woods lost his leg.
But was it
in
their
the
own
crash.
plane or was it like a commercial plane? Because if they
That
were
I
like,
don't know.
if they were moving something
Yeah.
and they had like the grill there and everything, I don't know.
Well, John Woods claimed on Mathis that he wanted his leg back so he could eventually be buried with it. It became a bit of a situation. The judge finally did order the leg to be returned. So he did allow Shannon, however, to keep the grill.
Hey, Judge Mathis. Like, there's 2.7 million people in this state, and I've only got about $500 from people that have seen this. So I need restitution for the people who I didn't get to charge to see this leg.
Well, I will say this. Mr. Shannon wasn't quite done with the leg yet. During the actual trial and everything, he begged them to do split custody of the leg.
You know, when you die, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, he even admitted that touching the leg made him sick, and he still gets sick when he thinks about it, but all he could think about at the time was the money he was making. So, what a awful... I'm sorry, give the man his damn leg back.
Would you pay to go see it?
No, I give him his leg back. He wants
Would you
to be
pay to go
buried
see
with
it?
us.
No, I got a weak stomach, so...
You ever been to like Ripley's Believe It or Not down
I mean,
there? And, like,
yeah, I've
No,
seen mummies.
no,
I've seen
because-
that stuff doesn't bother
but
me.
you would go see a leg?
Well, I would totally go see a leg, but at the end of the day, if a dude is begging for his leg back, give the man his leg.
The good
man.
thing
It's
is
just-
He doesn't have a leg to stand on, Your Honor.
Oh my God!
That's what I would have said. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers.
The good thing about Ripley's, if they put it on display, it would be behind glass and you wouldn't have to smell it.
Okay, so the absolute, I think, cherry on top of this story, though, was since Mathis allowed Shannon to keep the grill, Shannon later claimed that the smoker was cursed, eventually throwing it into the ocean to live. He did give the leg back, but he threw the smoker into the ocean.
Why didn't he contact like the Ed and Lorraine Warren or something and say, hey, I got this. They could have put it in there.
I think this was the guy that saw profit everywhere, and it was another way of getting a little bit of.
Yeah, I don't think you sage that thing. Like, I don't know how
I'll be
you...
real honest. Why would you ever want to cook in it after that?
Seasoning.
I mean, oh my God.
Yeah, I don't
cannibal.
care how good the seasoning is, but I'm good.
Udu fute. That's my French.
Do you think when he returned it, did they make him give him any money, like what you paid for the
No,
unit back?
it was an even exchange. One got the grill, one got his leg.
You know what I would have done?
Although he was fighting for custody, so who knows?
I would have wanted the money I spent on the locker.
Could you imagine if they got split custody? All right, you can have it on
You know what I would have done? I would have
every
been
other
like
holiday.
where you take your leg and you tape it up behind you and you put his leg on you, walk into court with it. You know what I mean?
This is
People,
my
I'm
leg, Your
sorry.
Honor.
You find somebody's leg. Let
Sorry,
them
Your
keep
Honor.
their body parts.
It's
What
now,
the heck?
now it's sewn onto my leg or something. You know what I mean?
So yeah, that is the story of the man who found a leg in a locker.
Right. So, Jackie, do you happen to have this episode's missing child information.
I sure do. If I can pull it up, that would be even better. Give me one moment here as I'm scanning.
No problem. Dustin, where can they find us?
You can find us everywhere you want to find your podcast at. You can find us at darkdiscoveriespod@gmail.com. And you can find Dark Discoveries on Facebook, Instagram, which we don't use.
TikTok.
Mainly TikTok, because that seems to be the easiest thing. And I apologize to the Facebook users. Social media takes a lot of time. So we are trying to do better, but we all work full-time jobs and crazy hours. And
Dustin's got a hold of the TikTok now. He's like a 13-year-old girl on there.
I've got the most views. I got a little hillbilly sound in there, but I got the most views on one of the posts. So I am the king of tickety talk.
Oh, my Lanta. All right. Well, tonight's missing child comes to us from Massachusetts. Sorry, I had to read that. It was very small print. This is Kaylee McLean, missing child case number M568434798. She's been missing since June 15th of 2025. Her age right now is 13 years old, female, nose pierced. Any information, you can call the Fall River Police Department in Massachusetts at 1-508-676-8511. And you can also call 1-800-THE-LOST. We will put all of her information up on our social medias. Please, let's try and bring all these babies home.
Right. And this has been Dark Discoveries, where the deeper you dive,
the darker it gets. Wait a minute. You bought a grill, but wait, there's more.
I wonder if the guy had like a peg leg, so he could have his leg and his peg leg.
So he can have his leg and
then the other guy could have been like,
too.
hey, we can make this business proposition where I cut off your leg in a duel or something. You know what I mean?
I just, buy one leg, get two free. I wonder if he had a prosthetic leg, though. Would you think he...
No, but what would have happened if he would have, like, Your Honor, I ate the leg or something? You know what I mean? What would they have done?
I really don't want to know.
No, it'd be mummified, magnified.
They said it was like crispy.
And not MAGA like politics, MAGA like maggots.
It was mummified at that point. It
Make
was
legs great again.
Do you think he smoked it?
But do you think he smoked it to dry it out?
Oh my God,
that's
I wouldn't
what it is.
use that smoker either. It is haunted.
I don't know.
Yeah,
man.
I'm pretty sure he smoked his leg on that smoker's while it was there.
Put some Sweet Baby Ray's on it.
I'm gonna say the smell of human flesh probably turned him off on being hungry.
What temperature do you think a leg is done at?
400 for 20 minutes.
I don't know. I'm gonna guess like
All right, Hannibal.
low and slow, 250 for about 12 hours.
Bet it tastes like chicken.